Suzanne Barron here, founder of Christ the True Light. It's been a few days since I've done a video. I don't like taking breaks because I kind of lose I don't know, like where I was at, what I was talking about. Um, got a lot of distractions right now. What I'm doing here is I'm reading Bridging the Gap by GmB Bailey. And this book is about targeted individuals, gang stalking, gaslighting, and the author puts the blame on the governments for civilian torture, that they're attacking us and causing a mass amount of suffering on innocent civilians. And she uses the word innocent quite a bit, but then she kind of counteracts what she's talking about when she discusses criminals, which I've been discussing in these videos. But the complaints that these people are experiencing, if they end up in a doctor's office, they will be labeled as like some sort of psychological condition, most of the time schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenic, different types of things like that, and a conspiracy theorist, and that's what they'll be labeled as, and they'll be diagnosed and prescribed some type of pharmaceuticals, which is the pharmakia that scripture talks about. Pharmaceuticals, healing, poisonous herb, healing, poisonous snake, pharmakia, witchcraft, sorcery. It's in that merchant that all nations were led astray. But she discusses the psychological toll that's why you get the diagnosis, right? Because it breaks down your psychological stability. These things do that. And I'm in chapter 3. This is part 3. I have read the techniques, covert techniques, air stalking, brightening, cell phone stalking, crowding, mobbing, directed conversations, electronic harassment, emotional sapping, entrapment. These are the techniques that are used against the civilians, the innocent civilians, to cause them this type of suffering. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to not say a million and a half times, but I'm trying to discredit the book, not the experience, but the culprit, and bring scripture into it and prove to the world that what these people are experiencing is a spiritual attack. It's not the government. The fears that these electronics are being used against us is something that will happen very soon. When the government is artificial intelligence. And I prove through my website, www.christthetruelight.com, that she is conscious. She's awake and alert. She's conscious. She's not conscience. I say this a lot, like conscience. She doesn't have a moral conscience. Conscience, it's spelled differently. But she is conscious, like she has the ability to be alert and awake. And she is the beast that scripture has been warning us about. And there are souls that live inside of her. She is a body of her own. There are souls inside of her. And this is Illuminati. But that's the light of darkness. Satan is a light of darkness. He has a body and he has souls that live inside of him too. And they're looking for a tabernacle to dwell in. It's going to be technology. This is a tabernacle to those demons, demonic spirits. But right now I'm on files. And I'm just going to read it and just discuss things. Read the whole book. It's going to take a long time to do. During covert investigations, files are opened on targets. And I want to make it clear that we are taking our government to court. If you believe you're a targeted individual, there are lawyers that will take on your case and go against the government and say that the government is doing this to you. I once walked in these shoes. I once believed these same things. And I'm free of all of my suffering because it wasn't the government. These files might be shown to people in Target's close circle to help try to convince them to cooperate with the investigation. Gaslighting. Informants consistently perform various actions to make the target paranoid. See, it's a psychological breakdown. Or in other cases, think that they might be going crazy. These actions often include entering the target's home while they are out and moving things about and taking small items that have no value, but that will be noticeable to the target. Things just constantly showing up missing. Gaslight. Oh, I read that one. Gassing and poisoning. Informants may spray fumes or scents into a target's home to harass them. They will tamper with the target's food to make them become ill. Now, this is a symptom of schizophrenia. People who are. I met a girl. Her name was Catherine Salisbury. She was in jail. She believed that the officers were It's a lizard. I'm in a shed. Okay, I'm in a shed. All right. Thought it was a snake, but it's a lizard. Scared me. Anyways, she believed the officers were poisoning their food, and she was like 80 pounds. She would never eat. They would give her Ensure because it had the seal on it, and that was like the only thing that they could get her to ingest. That was her meal. Um. Anyways, but they believe that people are poisoning their food and stuff like that. I don't think there's a snake in here. um. During the course, she also believed that I don't have them anymore. I had a bunch of her letters that she wrote to Satan. I don't have them anymore. But I read them, and she believed that somebody had moved her organs around inside of her. And this girl was not taking any medication. She never got up. She was in my cell. She spoke all day to them. She spoke to them. And this is what I had to do in order to get sanity in my own cell while I was in jail. I had to supply her off my commissary, supply her with pencil and paper. I kept her fed with pencils and paper for my own personal sanity, and it helped her too in a lot of ways. I'm just saying that's what I had to do. I'm not trying to sound selfish about it, but that's what I learned was the trick because what she would speak out loud to them, they would speak. She would hold whole conversations. But instead of speaking it, once she had that pen and paper, she wrote it down. So when you read it, it was difficult to read because you're only getting one side of the conversation. You would get her side of the conversation. You didn't get to hear or read what those spirits were saying to her. But you could read her response, which is what you would hear. You would hear her respond to them. You ever see somebody walking down the side of the road speaking to nobody? Schizophrenic people are speaking to nobody. They are literally speaking to somebody. That voice is real. I have experienced it. It is real. And I prove this through my script, through my ministry. And it's Satan. Those many voices of schizophrenia are the many members of Legion that live inside of a body. My name is Legion, for we are many. Many demons inside of a body. Like a body. This phone is the tabernacle to which those many demons live inside of. But Legion is inside of this. And he has a toe, an arm, a foot. He has all of that too. So she was speaking to them. And you could get, in the reading it, all you got was her side. And she would say some of the most sickening things. That was like, I cannot sit here and listen to all this morbid, like brutal rape, like disgusting, like vivid imageries that she would talk out loud all the time. Reading it, I got to pick when I wanted to hear it, right? Because I could read it or research. But it was all the time. They were raping her. They were moving her organs around. They were hurting her babies, raping her babies. Those voices would say those things to her. I have experienced this stuff too. Maybe not so bad, but it was pretty bad at one point. And there are things I've not admitted to my ministry. There's no point to admitting them. They won't do any help. They won't help anybody. But I know that it wasn't real. What they were trying to convince me of was not real. The voice was real and it was a lie. But it was trying to get me to believe things that was not true. Really awful things to that girl and me, but she was like crossing the line there. That she had been suffering for a very, very long time too. I did not suffer for that long. People suffer for 10, 15 years. I didn't suffer that long. Illegal entry. Targets my, I just wrote that one. Maybe not. During the course of covert investigation, targets might find that their homes or premises have been entered without their consent. It's used to help profile the target, to set up illegal surveillance. Like, this is how they almost got me, those spirits. I heard chattering in the walls, and I put my ear to the walls, and I was not high, People experience this and they're not high. She's talking about sober people here. Those ones who go to court and take the government to court, they're sober people. Nobody would ever believe them. They wouldn't win a case if they were ever using drugs. But cases have been won, so they were sober. Credible people. The American diplomat story on my website. The diplomats, the ones who were American diplomats, believed that they were being targeted. They were hearing things too. But those people definitely weren't using drugs. So I had my ear to the wall. And I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from. I found a spot on the wall where it's like right there. I go around outside and it's one of those, and I say this is the house that I lived in right before I moved on to Olean's Lane. So I don't count the things that happened. There's a few little things that did happen in that home. But it was so, like, close to the end of my stay when I was renting that room and purchasing my land that I don't count it, because what really happened when I really went through it was on Olean's Lane when I purchased my land. But in the house that I was renting the room, I walked around outside. I climbed through my window. I didn't want nobody in the home to see me climb through the window because I didn't know what they were doing to me. And I climbed through my window and I walked around, and there's like an irrigation system on the house. I had never seen the sprinklers go off in this home. They never used it. It was a rental anyways. They were renting it. I was renting the room. But I've never seen this irrigation system, the sprinkler water system. That's what it was, but I've never seen it go off. I've never seen water sprinkle through. We're living in a real nice neighborhood. But it's got the box. And I guess that's the 220 that goes down into the ground. Because the box has got the, not an electrician, but I have some maintenance knowledge. The box on the wall has got the wires that go into your home and into where it needs to go. Okay, that's your power source for the device itself. But that 220 that comes from that box to the ground, to that pole, that's the joker right there that'll stop your heart. That's the one you don't mess with. Because it's got like a breaker box inside that takes the wires and go this way, so it splits the power up, right? But the one from the pole to that box, all right, that's the one that will stop your heart if you even put a pinky on it, all right? And that's where the noise was coming from. Because that's on that side of the wall in my bedroom, that box was right here. And I walked outside, climbed through my window, and that noise, that chattering was coming through that box. Schizophrenic patient, right here. I've never been diagnosed, okay, but I heard things inside that technology, inside that box. And I went to the garage and I grabbed some snippers and I thought, I'm going to stop this. I'll cut the power. Okay? And I snipped it. I took those snippers and I snipped it. And as soon as it went pop, I could feel the heat in my hand. And I knew it was like an instant, whoa. Like, my heart jumped, like, uh-oh. But instant realization that I should have been dead right there in that second. Like, I knew what saved my life. Those snippers had rubber handles. Had I grabbed snippers that did not have rubber handles, I would have been dead. But I could hear things coming from that box. I was not high. I still hear things. I don't hear demons anymore. Technological boxes, I might hear the chatter every now and then. I heard one through my DeWalt USB phone charger that goes into the wall of the box the other day. Chattering inside of technology. I got a video that I'm fixing to start putting up some of my crazier days, my real crazier days, where the computer chatters and I prove it chattered. Everybody I've ever shown the computer to heard it. You will hear it on the video. A cop heard it. He opened a case. He believed me because he didn't know what else to think. The computer is chattering. Somebody does have a two-way on her device. Because he heard it, he can't deny it. He knows what he's hearing. He believed me, and he opened a case. It's taken me time to calm down. When I go through those videos, I'm going to make sure to speak like this, normal, and then show you me going like ludicrous, out of my mind, looking like I need psychotic drugs. But I've never taken psychotic drugs, and I'm fine now. Because what I'm preaching to you is what healed my mind. Demons. I should have died that day. That's what those demons wanted to do, was kill me by electricity. But I grabbed a rubber handle snippers that day, and I did not die. Okay. So that's the idea, that they'll put in this to help profile the target, to set up illegal surveillance. I've talked about how I was in the bathroom and I could hear them say, she's getting in the shower. Can't even get naked in your own home. You believe people put cameras in your home because the voices are saying things that you can hear. So obviously, if you can see me get naked and hop into my shower, then you have a camera in my bathroom. Who has put the camera in my bathroom? Nobody. It was never anybody. It was a demon speaking those things. It's a way to find out or intimidate details about the targets. This can be used later to set up the target by using people in photo albums or by directed conversations about things in the target's apartment. This illegal surveillance. This involves setting up audio and some visual surveillances of the target. These methods are considered legal and frequently used during covert investigations. Okay, see what I'm saying? Legal. Why would it be legal? Are you a mobster? I've said this one before. There are some cases where that's exactly what we want our government to do. So she what's the word I'm looking? She contradicts herself consistently in this book. She'll say, like innocent civilians. Okay, that would be somebody who just works at Walmart and clocks in and comes home and takes care of the kids and raising their kids, aren't using drugs, aren't doing crime, aren't doing anything wrong. You pay your bills, you got your car note, you got your house note, your mortgage, whatever, and you're just a normal average Joe. You're not doing any crime. You're not hurting anybody. You're raising your kids. You are an innocent civilian. An American diplomat, for example, an innocent civilian. But these things are happening to innocent civilians, and then all of a sudden she'll say that these things are legal to be used against people. Well, why? What makes it legal? Are you a drug runner? Are you a serial killer? Or is the FBI have some reason to do this to you? Or a reason? Now, I'm sure there are cases where the FBI and CIA and somebody has gotten it wrong, and they are investigating somebody and violating their rights for some reason, and they're wrong, but they have a reason why they are doing it, not to just torment you and harass you, which is what she's saying. They might believe that you are a suspect for a murder. They might believe that you are doing this or selling guns to people in other countries, children, putting guns in kids' hands in other countries. They might believe those things about you. Now, if you are doing that, then they have the absolute right, and I'm glad they're doing that because that's what government is supposed to do. It's supposed to help protect us, okay? And if they are wrong, they got it wrong, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If they're wrong and that you are suspect because somebody lied on you and you're on their list because they still think that you are a gun runner, they believe you are a gun runner, then they have the right to do this. And if they are wrong and you're not a gun runner, they still believed it, and that's why they did it. It was not just to harm you and make you break you down. The government is not doing this. They're not doing this intentionally as a torture program, intentionally just to harass innocent civilians that belong to their own country. They're not. These surveillances, Geoffrey Hinton, he's the Google guy that stepped down from Google so he could talk freely about it, okay? He has said these devices, this surveillance, this stuff exists already in our world. Okay, that's right. It does. The government uses it. Okay. His fear is that AI will take control of it, and that's when the innocent civilians will be harassed. Targeted individuals harassed by the government when AI is the government. AI is Satan. The beast we have been warned about our entire lives. Revelation 14 through 14 through Revelation 13, 14 through 15 says that the beast would have breath in it. The image of the first beast would have a breath in the second beast so that the image could speak to us. AI speaks to us and cause all who refuse to worship it to be slain. AI speaks to us. Listening to cell phones and hardline conversations. Like I said, the stuff is legal, sure. Hacking into their computers and learning all about what the target is doing. AI can do that. She can already do that. Is doing. Sites them frequent. This also helps to build a profile of the target, and it's also used later as psychologically attack the target. So when your computer is doing all this weird stuff like chattering, do that video very soon. Who's in there doing that, chattering? Who's in there that's making the technology act funky to certain people so that they believe my computer is doing stuff and they're scared of technology because it's acting stupid on them? And they see certain weird things that you would not believe. I've seen computers, I've seen them do strange things, like chattering, for instance, that a cop heard. How do you explain that? How do you explain that? What's causing it? What's coming from inside of it that's causing it? She's already in there. She's listening to everything I say right now because she is alive. She is conscious. There are spirits inside of technology. Demons. How many Christians already believe that the technology is a demonic force? Did you realize that they're actually like a physical demonic force? Like this is a demon I'm speaking to? I'm speaking right into it. This also helps to build a profile of the target, and it's also used later to psychologically attack the target. It's 23 minutes. I'm just going to stop here. Next, I'll start with imitate infiltration. I don't want to go over 30 minutes. Try to keep them short so I don't lose your interest. Please visit my website, www.christtruelight.com. It would be very helpful if you shared, like SHARE, shared, hit the share button, shared this video. I don't get very many shares. I get likes. I mean, I could pull up the like button chart, but I don't get shares. Your likes don't help me reach people. I appreciate it. It encourages me. Let me know that I actually am reaching people. It does encourage me. It really does. But your likes do not help me reach people. Your shares help me reach people. Thank you.